our main focus today is Benedict Spinoza. And we've got all kinds of stuff on Spinoza. Let's see. Notice his Hebrew name is Baruch Spinoza. That means blessed. Benedict is Latin for blessed. And by the way, Arabic is Barak. And if you remember, a few years ago, we had a president whose name was Barak. In fact, that was one of the main reasons I wanted to vote for him, was because I thought, gosh, can you imagine? At the time, we had a lot of Islamist terrorism. And I thought, wow, if we had a president whose name was Barak, which is blessed in Arabic, what would the terrorists do then? You know, because it would seem, I think, contradictory to think that, you know, the United States is the great Satan if our president is named blessed in Arabic. You know, I just thought that would be cool, but it didn't really have much effect, I don't think, as far as I could tell. But so when you're looking at Baruch or Barak or Benedict or Benedictus Spinoza, D. Spinoza, you might want to just think to yourself, holy Spinoza. Okay, that could have been funny. I guess my delivery is screwed up. But in any case, you know, like holy cow, holy Spinoza. Well, because he's just mind-boggling, I think. And if you had a chance to look at the ethics, and we, you know, of course, have the text, notice how he's taking scholasticism, the very complex theological arguments from the late Middle Ages that we especially think of with regard to Thomas Aquinas or William of Ockham or Duns Scotus, lots of others. The language is very complex. And remember the definition of God, which was pretty much the only thing we really thought about, except for the angels, because the angels are fun. God is that than which nothing greater can be taught. So they abstracted the concept of God to the nth degree, basically. Well, actually, no. They didn't take it all the way. Spinoza will take it all the way and ends up giving us a totally different kind of perception of what the concept must mean, because he concludes, well, we can follow this a little bit. Definitions. These are so. This is set up now following kind of an algebraic method, and the idea is that first have to define your terms, then you give your axioms, which are undoubtable or undubitable, however you want to say it, and then you end up with your propositions. And by the way, if you've demonstrated your proposition to the fullest, you can add QED at the end of that. And by the way, QED, quod erat demonstrandum, what was to be demonstrated. In other words, this is proved. See? So QED. And one of my favorites when I was growing up was William F. Buckley Jr., and he would always kind of tilt his head back, look down his nose at his, whoever he was talking to on like firing line. That was one of his television shows, and say QED, which means, so much for your argument, So remember that QED. You get expressions for different individuals, like Thomas Hobbes. Remember, life is nasty, brutish, miserable, and short, or whatever. Rene Descartes, cogito ergo sum, which you could also just say, I think, therefore I am. But with Spinoza, you want to go QED. That's your best thing with him. So definitions, by that which is self-caused. So he's defining self-caused. I mean that of which the essence involves existence, or that of which the nature is only conceivable as existent. Well, from the class we know that that's only going to be God. God's the only one that would be considered self-caused. And therefore, you can't even conceive of God as not existent because of that definition. A thing is called finite after its kind. So what do we mean by finite? When it can be limited by another thing of the same nature. For instance, a body is called finite because we always conceive another greater body. So also a thought is limited by another thought. But a body is not limited by thought, nor a thought by body. So when you're talking about finite, you have to keep in mind that, love is a thought and not limited by a telephone, right? That has, but telephones could be finite compared to one another, right? There was a comic, the other day that I saw where the father's upset with the kids. He says, "Stop looking at your phones while you're at dinner." And in the picture, you see all the kids sitting there, and they had these huge old phones, as if that would never have happened. So finite things. So next, by substance, and we've been following the track of substance since Aristotle, right? I mean that which is in itself and is conceived through itself. In other words, that of which a conception can be formed independently of any other conception. A substance in that sense, then, taking this from the scholastic history that we have all the way back, you end up then with the idea that nothing that we think of as a substance can be dependent on anything else for its existence. Well, there we go. That sounds like God again, right? So you notice the way this is working. By attribute, everything has attributes, right? I mean that which the intellect perceives as constituting the essence of substance. So hair has a particular attribute. That if you wash it and then you put on a hat and then you take off the hat, it leaves funny little tufty things that won't go away. Hair has attributes, color, taste, all that stuff. By mode, which is different, I mean the modifications of substance, or that which exists in and is conceived through something other than itself. This is kind of weird, but you end up with him feeling like there are different modes of existence, so that the desk is physical, but my imagining it is mental, and those are different modes, not the same mode, if that makes any sense. So then, by God I mean a being absolutely infinite. That is, a substance consisting in infinite attributes, of which each expresses eternal and infinite essentiality. So he's taking this now to the nth degree, much further than the scholastics did. He has explanations for that and what he means by free. By eternity, I mean existence itself, etc. And so now we move on to the axioms, which he believes are indubitable. Everything which exists either in itself or in something else. Seems true, I guess. That which cannot be conceived through anything else must be conceived through itself. I suppose if it's conceivable at all. From a given definite cause, an effect necessarily follows. And on the other hand, if no definite cause be granted, it is impossible that an effect can follow. Do we really think necessity is associated with cause and effect? too early in the morning for that one, right? I suppose the cause of that is that you're all still a little groggy from just waking up, or not enough coffee. Doug, do you drink coffee?
I drink energy drinks. But I wake up at like 7:30 a.m. anyway, so I just drink a Red Bull.
A Red Bull.
Oh yeah.
I had coffee. One of my daughters made a pot of coffee, so I drank a cup of that, and then later on added some more to my cup. You know how you have this expression, warm up your cup. Let me warm up your cup. You know, the waitress usually, at Denny's, can I warm up your cup? I think it'd be great. My wife drinks hot chocolate in the evening, and every so often she'll get up and say, "It's cold again," and she nukes it, and then sits back down, and then it's cold again, and she nukes it. She must nuke it like the same cup 4 or 5 times before she finally drinks the whole cup. And I'm thinking, it would be great if somebody came up with a coffee pot-like thing for hot chocolate, so that instead of having to re-nuke it, you could just, can I warm up your cup, and just pour in some more hot chocolate right out of the pot, sitting on the little burner. Wouldn't that be neat? Anybody want to be a millionaire within a couple of weeks? You could just invent this thing, and there you go.
Yeah, it's a thing.
You can do that?
Yes, they make K-cup pods of hot chocolate. It's the same thing. It's already a thing.
It's already been done?
Yeah, everything's
Man.
been done.
I thought somebody could do this, and then within a couple of months you could have your own SpaceX company, just SpaceX, that's it. They shoot their own rockets.
That one to finish one cup, you might not want to give it more. That might not work effectively.
Well, this is, my wife
She just doesn't like it enough. She needs to switch to coffee. Or better cocoa makers.
When we lived in Berlin, she took what I call the Nestea plunge. I don't know if you ever saw the commercials where Nestea was supposed to be so refreshing that it was like falling backwards into a pool. And so when she got baptized as a Mormon, I referred to that as the Nestea plunge. Okay, maybe that's cruel, but in any case, she became a Mormon, and they don't like coffee or soda, like Coca-Cola, but they drink hot chocolate. And I think that's funny because the main reason they abhor, the others, is because there's caffeine in them. But guess what? There's caffeine in chocolate. So, you guys. But so the effect is is the cause and effect necessary? It means no miracles, by the way, right? Would you say that if you're assuming a scientific narrative, you can't say, aha, I poured this into here, and then I did this, and then I poured this into here, and then I did this, and then I poured this in here, and then a miracle occurred, and I got life. No, you're not allowed to say that in a scientific narrative, right? Miracles are not allowed. It has to be, but of necessity, cause and effect in the narrative. Doesn't necessarily mean we know exactly what the cause and effect relationships will be and what we'll get. However, but the knowledge of an effect depends on and involves the knowledge of a cause. Things which have nothing in common cannot be understood, the one by means of the other. They have, nothing in common, right? We can't understand why cornflakes get soggy in milk because, usually people that get married have trouble around year 5 or 6, that's, you have stages, and so on. A true idea must correspond with its ideate or object. If a thing can be conceived as non-existing, its essence does not involve existence. So if I can, think of things like a unicorn doesn't involve existence. And in fact, I can imagine that there are no unicorns, although I know that there's metaphorical expressions. Different individuals now are referred to as, what do they mean by that when they say he's a unicorn or she's a unicorn? What's that mean? Anybody know? Yes, you know?
It depends on what sense you mean, but.
It's embarrassing. It must be embarrassing. She's turning blush red, and she doesn't want to tell me what it means. So that's okay. We'll go to urbandictionary.com. Shall we go?